Hello and welcome to Thought for November the 14th. Our readings are Ezra chapter 10, Hosea chapter 11 and Colossians chapter 2. And our thought is, if with Christ you died. First, on the final chapter in Ezra, we read how he arrived in Jerusalem. We recall how in chapter 7 we read that Ezra went up from Babylonia. He was a scribe skilled in the law, and the king granted him all that he asked, for the hand of the Lord his God was on him, we read in verse 6. On arrival, he learns that many of those who had returned had become corrupt. And today's final chapter starts by telling us how Ezra prayed and made confession, weeping before the house of God. As the leaders among those who had returned gathered to him and addressed Ezra, they said, "We have broken faith with our God and have married foreign women," verses 1 and 2. Ezra tells them to make confession to the Lord, the God of your fathers, and do his will. Separate yourself from the peoples of the land and from the foreign wives. Then all the assembly answered with a loud voice, "It is so. We must do as you have said." Verse 11 and 12. We can make a comparison in this to Paul's challenge to the believers at Colossae, who were largely, if not entirely, Gentile converts. Paul reminds them that they were alienated and hostile in mind, doing evil deeds. Chapter 1, verse 21. And then he asks them, using that little but significant word if, in chapter 2, verse 20, we read, "If with Christ you died to the elemental spirits of the world, why, as if you were still alive in the world, do you submit to regulations? Do not handle, do not taste, do not touch." Then in the last verse, "They are of no value in stopping the indulgence of the flesh." We are presently reading the dramas of about 500 years ago, and the challenge of Martin Luther about all the regulations and rituals that the Roman Catholic Church practiced. We see some comparisons which in some measure have continued today. The break between chapter 2 and 3 is unfortunate. The beginning of chapter 3 poses a challenging question with another if. "If then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above. Set your minds on the things that are above." This is the result. If with Christ we have genuinely died to all the attractions of the fleshly things that surround us day after day. Let us make sure we have. Well, thank you once again for joining us for Thought for the Day, where together we can open up the Word of God, knowing it is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path.